Hey everybody, today I want to go over the two wheels I have that I'm running. This is a GT3 style wheel, and this is a NASCAR slash rally style wheel that I made. So basically, I took the wheel, the hub, the rim from the original 48 Challenge wheel, and I took and cut it down with a base that is the F1 Thrustmaster base that I got from Amazon. It was refurbished. It was missing one of the buttons, so that's why this one was a little bit larger than this one. So I didn't like that it was so narrow, because it just, after a while of playing with it, hurt my hands really bad, stuff like that. So I wanted something to go a little bit wider. Plus, with this style wheel, it was a little too narrow for my particular style of driving, with like NASCAR and stuff like that. Late models and sprint cars and dirt, and then of course rally. I still play a lot of rally games, so I wanted to be able to make this still usable with the button box and the paddle shifts, but also still have enough room for this. So what I decided to do was take this rim, this part right here, and add to this to make my own GT3 style wheel. So basically, like I said, I just cut everything down, I trimmed everything out, did some measurements. Of course, this does not have any center bolts, so I had to make this work. So these 5 screws are attached to the main frame, and then there's 3 bolts right here with nuts on the back I drilled through. So everything is still functionable, other than I had to move these two because I didn't want to cut more into the actual rim part itself. Plus, it was not lining up correctly. These right here, I ended up having to drill punch right back down in, which I got little like snap rings on them, so they go in pretty good. And then I just moved them to the top. Plus, it gives you a little bit more top functionability and stuff like that. You know, brake ballast and stuff like that is real close without me having to reach down in here. But it allows me to have a little bit wider. I think this is like right at 290 millimeters. So it allowed me to get a little bit wider grip on this, and so it's not hurting my shoulders bad and my wrists. And then the paddles, I extended them out, and these are actually pretty wild. So these are actually from a toolbox that I had, and I was like, hey, I want some metal, I don't want it too thick, something light. So I ended up taking an old toolbox and just cutting it down. I actually mocked the shifters, the paddles off of this one, and put over here and so extend it. So it allowed me to be able to just not have these little small ones anymore, but making it more of a traditional style GT3 wheel. So like I said, everything's still functional on it. I'll make a video here shortly on the rig itself and show all the functions and everything that's still working on it. And if everybody's wondering, I had originally thought about putting LED lights in here for like the RPMs, and I decided not to because I use like a phone on top for my digital displays and stuff. So I ended up just putting a piece of tape on it, which then we'll go back and change this out a little later on. But right now it works pretty good. It suits me. So alright, moving on to the wheel on the left. Alright, so like I said, this is used primarily for like NASCAR style and rally style wheels. All the buttons still work on it real good. I added a single USB keyboard button, and what I do for this is, like when I race NASCAR, I run the USB through this, plug it in, so that way I got to push the talk button, or if I'm like in rally, something like that, then I got a quick reset in case I wreck, you know, something like that, and I can use it different ones. Now, nothing really, you know, too special about this, you know what I mean. All it is just a aftermarket wheel from Amazon. I think I paid like 30 bucks for it. It's 13 inches in diameter, and then I just bought a little cheap little like Alcantara suede type wheel wrap from like Walmart. It was like 10 bucks. I ended up having to cut it down, so that's why it's wrapped like this. But I wanted to be able to still use like the paddle shifts and the buttons on it, plus, you know, for different games. So on the back side, what I ended up doing was making these extensions, which is a 1x2 strips, pine strips. So I ended up measuring these out to give it the width, and then plus coming down, what I ended up having to figuring out was that when I pulled on them, they were real easy to pull because of the more leverage on them. Now I did have the magnetic add-ons to it, so it gives it that little tactile feeling to it, but it was still, because of the leverage on it, it was real simple to pull. So I figured out using these rubber bands. They're like industrial style rubber bands that I originally had bought for my shifter to make it a sequential shifter from the Logitech shifter that I had. So I ended up putting 3 on these here. So what that's doing, it's allowing it to have more of a tactile feeling, plus it's giving it that harder pull on it, so it's not so easy to pull. And then with the measurements I did, the bottom of this is coming and hitting inside of the wheel itself, so in its action it's like a bump stop almost, so that way you don't over pull it and not mess up the mechanicals inside of it. So I can smack that every time and know exactly that shift perfect. Like I said, I've done this. I originally had a display on the back of it, so I ended up taking it off, but overall it still works good. It might look tacky to some people, but hey, this is mine, not yours, but it gets the job done. I like it. It works out pretty good, and for now, until I upgrade to something different, to a direct drive wheel, this is what I use and pretty happy with. So let me know in the comments what you think, if you like, disagree, whatever. So just let me know.